Yo, it is Tuesday. You know what time it is. Frontrunner Podcast Collective is back on the air. I am your humble host, Vince, and we have just so much basketball to talk about. It is absolutely ridiculous. We had outstanding competition this weekend, and then it led into Monday. We got to get into the weekend first, but before we get into all that, let's talk about three things. One, how did you guys spend your weekend? Right? Now, usually on podcasts, that's another person talking. You can now come into the podcast via social media, Twitter, Blue Sky, email, however you would like to do that. On Twitter, it is at FrontRunnerPC. Also, the producer is at Rhea_Funge FRPC. Keep that in mind. Also, if you are a Blue Sky compatriot, this is where you want to go with. You have made a decision that you are Blue Sky. Don't worry. At FrontRunnerPC.bsky.social. And then for our intrepid producer, FRPC-Rhea.bsky.social. So plenty of ways to get in contact with us. Plenty of ways to say, hey, are you talking about these things? Are you talking about Shai Gilgeous-Alexander enough? Are you talking about my guys? We will have prompts in this show for you guys to hit up on, and then for the best comments, they will be on Friday's podcast. I don't know how to make it more simple for you. Grab a vine, swing on into the jungle, drop your thought, drop your take, however you want to call it. I don't want hot takes. I want well-informed or well-positioned takes. We are trying to upgrade the brand here. And the only way to upgrade the brand is to have audience participation. That is where you come in. So, as we go along and talk about all these incredible games that happened over the weekend, and then get into the second round, because that's where we are now. We're in the second round. Things about to get real heated. We had a couple games that we need to dissect, and we will through this podcast, through this journey today. And I am glad that you are here with us for Soraya, the producer, and the rest of the crew. We are so excited for you to be here. Now, this weekend was magical. I mean, was it all of what we expected it to be? Now, for some people, you're probably really upset that your team is not in the playoffs anymore. I get that. I understand that. The Lakers are no longer in the playoffs. It is what it is. But at this point, where do we go? What have we seen? And is there any information that we can glean from the first round and then extrapolate it out into the second and also going forward? I think there are a couple things, and we're going to get to it today. So what's on the docket? Easy. We had a weekend Warriors absolutely incredible weekend of basketball. We had high intensity games. We had game sevens. The two greatest words in professional sports. Win or go home, damn it. And we had those. We will talk about those. We will talk about the outcomes. We will talk about what is next for the team who is moving forward. We will talk about what is next for the team that now has to spend the rest of the offseason thinking, were there minor things that we could have adjusted that could have let us continue our journey on this playoff run? We will get to that. We will also get to some other stuff that is going on in the league that we really need to get to. There's some pressing news that has happened in the league that we got to get to. But we're going to start off here. The weekend. Game 7s. Everywhere you look. The first one that we need to start off with, it starts off with Jokic. And the reason why we always start off with Jokic is this. He's the baddest man on the planet today. You can call it whatever you want to call it. You can call him, top 3, whatever. We know one thing about Nikola Jokic, other Denver Nuggets. We know that he is not just great. The level of what he plays with is generational. There are things that he is doing that we have not seen since Wilt. So keep that in mind. Things that we have not seen since Wilt Chamberlain. And the funny part about it is that in the Clipper series, in the series that just ended, and then we'll get into the OKC game as well, that Monday night was special. It was the others in Game 7. Think about this. Think about some of the things that all happened in this series, in the Clippers-Nuggets series. Jamal Murray pickpockets James Harden late. Tone setter. Clippers explode by 34. Also, the Aaron Gordon game winner dunk at the buzzer. People forget about that one. Jamal Murray dropping 31. And then the Aaron Gordon explosion that happens in Game 7, and some other things that happen that we really need to get to, and we will momentarily. Sometimes when you are the best player in the world, everything is devised to stop you. Everything is look to slow you down, and then we will worry about the others, the mere mortals, as we continue. This is what happened here. And you'll say, well, is Jokic all that? 100%. Here's the thing that you need to know. Game 7, I was really worried for Denver. I thought the Clippers were going to find a way to win this series. I'm going to be completely honest with you. Denver led in Game 7 86% of the time. The Clippers never cut the lead below 9 in the second half. They closed them out. They packed them up efficiently. You know, like a business guy who is traveling all the time. He knows how to get in and out of the TSA lines and what have you. My guy is just rolling through. Super efficient. Let's pack them up. We got to go. Here's a Soraya note. It didn't feel like a back and forth. It just felt like Denver calmly cutting off every LA escape route. That is a good line. She is right on that. They didn't out-talent LA. They didn't outlast LA. They outread them. They out-trusted each other. That's a lot to go off of when you are talking about David Adelman taking over as the interim coach for Michael Malone. Michael Malone, who won a championship with this, pretty much this core, except for a couple other players that are not there anymore. Specifically, Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, who is in Orlando, and also Bruce Brown Jr., who is now, he was in Indiana, then he went to, Toronto? I think he went to another team. He was traded again. So, I say all this to say what? When you have the greatest player on the planet, I understand what SGA is. I understand what he's about to win. He's about to win a MVP. Congratulations to you. We also know that LeBron was the best basketball player in the league when he didn't win some of these MVPs. There was another guy who won a decent amount of MVPs that probably could have won more. His name was Michael Jordan. Kobe Bryant got a couple stolen away from him as well. So it doesn't matter whether you're the MVP. That does not make you the best player on the planet. What makes you the best player on the planet is how feared you are by that other team. The Clippers did everything in Game 7 to deny Jokic. And he kept cutting them up. Kept cutting them up on assists. Kept cutting them up on drives. Kept cutting them up on little floaters. Everything like that. He wasn't offensively dominant, but the rebounds, the assists, the screens to get people open, he did all of those things. Now, he had a little help. And when I say he had a little help, he had a little help from the Clippers. And what I mean by that is that we're now here. It's now the end of the season. And you go, well, what does this all mean? What it means is this: James Harden is still James Harden. James Harden did not show up in Game 7. Yes, he had 13 assists, but when you only take 8 shots, it's not great. You are the second option on that team. They need you. They need your scoring. They need your leadership. You can say, well, the ball didn't find me. Or you could say, well, we were just running our offense. We were running the system. I remember a quote from James Harden earlier in the season. He said, he is the system. So which one is it, James? Which one is it? Were you running the system and you couldn't get shots off? Or were you reluctant to get shots off because you didn't want like your percentages and whatever to go down, and you weren't really looking to score because it was just way too aggressive, so you said, okay, I'm going to just pass this off to somebody else who's a lot less ready for this moment than you are, who has been a number one option in a lot of places that you've been at, my guy. So if anybody can handle 18 to 22 opportunities of shots and things of that nature, it should be you. But you passed on that. But you're not the only one. Oh no. Seemed like Kawhi in the first half saw what was going down, and then in the second half and third quarter, he let go of the rope as well. So it wasn't just one. There were multiple of this situation. Our guy Zubac couldn't grab a rebound to save his life. You know, it was a tough call through the whole deal. Sometimes chase the moment. Sometimes teams chase the moment, or sometimes they become it. Denver's already on to the next act. They won the championship. They know who they are. They know what they're trying to do. And I gave them little chance of winning this series. I said, hey, as soon as they let Michael Malone go, I was like, this ends your season. It's a rudderless ship. How are they going to get by? Nikola Jokic is basically took ownership of this team. Yes, I know that David Adelman is putting together and devising the game plan. But if you see the huddles, we see a very animated Jokic. Now, he has said in his interviews that this has always been him, and now the cameras are finding him because of all the upheaval that has gone on. I don't agree with you, Jokic. I think this is more. I think you're more. I think you're doing more. And I think you're trying to tamper down or give little credence to what we're actually seeing. But we're seeing a leader just exalt his team to the very, very top of what they can be. Now, Jokic doesn't just provide leadership. Again, I have said it, and I'll say it again. Jokic is the best player in basketball, and he showed you exactly why last night. Jokic dropped 42 points, 22 rebounds, and 6 assists in an absolute masterclass against the Oklahoma City Thunder, who won 68 games this year. We've talked about the historical net rating and all of those things, but here's the thing that I want to talk about is that I was like, okay, they're going to be fodder for OKC. You played 7 grueling games with the Clippers. I said, good luck. Your prize for winning this series and going on to the next round is to get your head kicked in by OKC. Jokic, Murray, Aaron Gordon, Russell Westbrook, and Christian Brown had other ideas to the story that I was trying to narrate for them. OKC still has the best defensive coverages in real time. The Thunder had this game and then they blinked. The one thing that we always talked about with the OKC Thunder and also with Cleveland, but more so with OKC, young teams don't come together this quickly. They have to get the playoff abrasions on them. They have to get themselves a little dirty before they're able to win. Because as much as you want to say whatever, human nature is this. Anytime, last week we had we had the gorilla and the 100 men. Somebody brought up this point in that situation. I want to bring it also to basketball. And so I'm taking something that was on the internet last week. We should have talked about it. We didn't. Excuse me. But here's the thing that people need to understand. The reason why I don't think 100 men can take the gorillas, because there's going to be somebody or multiple people in that group that are going to want credit. They're going to want credit for the leadership or whatever, the heroism that they showed through in, conquering the gorilla, that they're not going to work as a team. That's why I always thought that the 100 people versus a gorilla was a stupid thing. Because I was like, yo, when the first 10 get absolutely annihilated, I want to see how much resolve they have after they see just the devastation that happens to the first 10. I think you're going to have a lot of apprehension. And I thought basically this is what was going to happen to Denver in this first game. You just came off the grueling 7 games. OKC has been off for a while. They have a great defense. They're physical. They're handsy. All of these things. The one thing that we did talk about is they're young. The one thing that we did discuss is, okay, we think that Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is certified. We think that his game definitely translates to the playoffs, but what about the others? Do they have enough? And I'm not saying that we got a definitive answer in this first game, but the questions that we had, they were all on display in game 1. So let's get to it. OKC was doing very well. The flow was impeccable. Vibes immaculate. OKC crowd absolutely in a fever pitch. They're up by 14 in the second quarter, and then the deluge happened. They got outscored 71-59 in the second half. Jokic and Gordon wrecked OKC's front court. They combined for 64 points and 36 rebounds. I'll read that number again. 2 guys, 64 points, 36 rebounds. That's getting it done. Oh, here's the best part. OKC had not been in a bunch of close games all year. They've been blowing people out. We've talked about their net rating the whole year. How historic it has been. In clutch situations against the Nuggets, OKC was 2 of 9 field goals. Okay, 2 of 9. That's 22%, folks, if you can't do the math. So they were 2 of 9 in clutch situations. 6 of the 9 turnovers came in the fourth quarter. Most turned into Denver points. So again, when people poo-pooed me, people said, "Oh, Vince, you're just hating OKC." No, this is basketball. We've been watching this thing forever. Young teams, it takes you time to learn how to win. There is not a manual you pick up and you say, "Oh, I got it." There's no Cliff Notes version of this. You have to learn the lesson. You have to figure out the lesson. And then you have to master the lesson so when you get into the situation again, it doesn't happen. Now, this is one game. They could learn this lesson right immediately and blow out Denver. I have never said that I thought that OKC was not a viable Western Conference champion. But what I did say is that we have to at least give room. We have to at least give credence to the possibility that a team that is led by somebody who's 26 years of age, his co-stars are all 22 and 23 years of age respectively, and that is what is going to be a team of grown-ass men. Jokic is 31. He comes from Serbia. You don't think he's seen some shit? Aaron Gordon is 30. He was the face of the franchise in Orlando. They wanted him to be the number one option. He's come to Denver and won a championship and found his role. He's gone through some stuff in the NBA. Jamal Murray, well documented, all the naysayers, all the, the whispers and, hey, is it gonna happen? And he's the most talented guy who's never been an all-star. All these things. Denver is a veteran-laden team that has the ability to block out the noise. OKC is in OKC 1. They are insulated by the very sparse media situation, the sparse media contingency that usually develops that city. Now you got the whole national media on you because it's the playoffs. Lights are a little brighter. This wasn't just a comeback. It was Denver slowing the game down to a crawl and daring OKC to match them in the half court, and they couldn't. They could not. Now, a couple things that I want to bring to your attention that we're going to throw some actual criticism towards Mark Daigneault, the Oklahoma City Thunder head coach. And it's very rare that we do so on this program because we love Mark Daigneault. We think Mark Daigneault is a really good coach. But I had a couple questions about some of the roster rotations and who ended up in games and who ended up not in games. So, first thing is this. Alex Caruso, who was traded to the Oklahoma City Thunder in the offseason from Chicago, and they traded Josh Giddey, and I said at the time, I was like, wow, Chicago didn't even get a first round pick for this deal. Giddey had an incredible season, no doubt. But Caruso had himself a game. First of all, his box plus minus was plus 13. This dude had 6 steals, 2 blocks, and he was benched the last 6 minutes of that game. I don't know what you need to see from him, because when he was in the game, I don't think Denver had really a chance to come back. He blocked Jokic. He blocked Gordon. He stole the ball from multiple people. I think he got Jamal Murray. I know he got Christian Brown a couple times. And he definitely got Westbrook. But he was not in the game. Daigneault chose to go with like the Hartenstein, Chet, J-Dub, SGA, Lou Dort lineup. And I'm not saying that's a bad lineup to go with. But Caruso was playing so well. I just questioned the decision that Mark Daigneault made. Now you can sit there and tell me, well, hey, this is what the rotation's been the whole season. Listen, you watch OKC 82 games a year. I might catch 25 OKC games every year. Maybe 35, depending on the year. But I think that at some point, especially in the playoffs, you got to go, hey, man, we got to win. And sometimes in winning, you might hurt somebody's feelings. The truth will be told in the playoffs. Guaranteed. I've said that. I said excuse me. The biggest truth, the way that you can sit there and you start to know how players are, how they're really thought of around the league, is you see how they're defended in the playoffs. When you see how they're defended in the playoffs, you start to realize like what kind of player we're talking about. And I thought that Mark Daigneault had a first real decision to be made. And I'm not saying he failed. I asked the question, why not Caruso, who has been in championship situations with the Lakers, multiple playoff runs? Why on earth was Alex Caruso not in the closing lineup? Caruso was the best defender on Jamal Murray, and you benched him. It was very risky. Now, our guy Jokic, 42 points on 15 of 29 shooting. We talked about the boards, 22, 6 dimes. But also, drew a flagrant foul. I like that part. Beat blitzes, ignored traps. He played chess in the post, deep seals, counters, live dribbles, skip passes. You saw the whole array of what was going on with Jokic. He was getting to his areas whenever he wanted to. And that's going to be key. There was huge foul trouble on Chet, on Hartenstein. I think Lou Dort had a bunch of fouls. So at the end of the day, if you're going to get this type of Jokic who is going to be this aggressive, OKC, expect a long series. This is going to go 7. I hope you are having fun. And if Jokic is going to be Shaq with vision, this is a 4D checkmate performance. OKC tried coverage variations. Jokic read every single one of them. This dude was like a surgeon, and I'm talking about like those high level surgeons, right? The ones that they call in like from Oslo, Norway, right? This dude walked in to the operating room. He pulled out his tools, okay? All of them, right? Pulled out his tools and said, okay, scalpel please, because we about to surgically dissect this team. My man went in there to a 68 win, most dominant looking team in the NBA and said, we are not afraid of you, and I'm going to tell you right now, if you don't give us our respect, we might embarrass you. OKC is a very good team. They have a lot of wins under their belt, and they have future wins that are coming to them. Shai is an absolute star, and he is going to show up and show out in this playoff series. And as long as they go in the playoffs, he's going to show up and show out. But I will say, we did ask, does OKC have enough? Are we sure about Jalen Williams? Are we sure about Chet? Even though I've coined them the big three of OKC, and I will not step down from that statement. I do believe that this is a special group. My whole point is that when the lights get bright, we're going to need you guys to show up if you're going to be the big three that we expect you to be. And you did not do that. You did not do that game one. Gordon at the 5, the non-Jokic minutes, he was a positive 19 net. Westbrook in 30 minutes was a positive 4. And Christian Brown earned his playoff stripes last night. 13 rebounds. 13. And he D'd up Shai. He D'd up J-Dub. All of the dudes that you sit there and say, man, that dude's a problem. He was D'ing them up. Do I expect OKC to counter? Do I expect OKC to have a answer to these? Yes. This is still a really good team. OKC went with size with Hartenstein and also Chet. What Jokic still called them up. I'm not saying that they will avert away from that. I wonder if they'll try the one big and try to allow the swings and the wings to get underneath Jokic's skin and be a little more vibrant around the ball. A lot more energy, a lot more handsy, things of that nature, that just be more of a pest instead of a absolute wall deterrent. Anytime that you can kind of slow down the processing of Jokic, you won. And I don't think with the two bigs you have that capability of doing so. I think with a one big lineup and then the wings that are so active on defense, I think that's the way of going if you're going to try to really neutralize what Nikola Jokic of the Denver Nuggets is trying to do. And here's the other thing with that. Keep in mind, that is the de facto point guard. He is their leading rebounder. He sets the offense. He's also coaching the team now. He also can be the general manager of the team. Remember, they fired Calvin Booth. He might actually be the general manager. I'm kidding. But he's doing so much for that team. And I think that we should celebrate that situation. The Peyton Watson has big defensive upside. Anytime that you can go ahead and have two guys who can switch onto smaller players and also guard the bigger guys on the team is a win-win. This isn't just a matchup, it's a philosophy test. OKC wants to be versatile. And Denver went blunt force plus red base IQ. You know what I'm saying? They just said, hey, we're gonna look at the passing lanes, and we're gonna get inside those passing lanes, and we're going to make it extremely hard for you to make those skip passes to the corner. Anytime that you get into the lane and you make a decision that takes more than half a beat, we're going to go ahead and allow you to probably make that decision and see what we can do in the passing lanes. I saw a lot of that in that game. OKC also attempted to mirror Denver's tempo play style, and it failed. They had no half-court initiator when SGA was walled up. This series is a referendum on Jalen Williams. Now, is that fair? No. It's not. Because this is third year in the league? There's no reason for us to sit here and make declarations on what Jalen Williams is going to be. Again, we talk about playoff scars and what have you. One of the things that we saw in some of these other series and things of that nature, with some of the young teams, is that they haven't had them yet. And OKC is no different. Just because we saw Golden State do this a decade ago doesn't necessarily mean that history is going to repeat itself in this situation. I'm not saying that OKC is not special enough to rise to the occasion, but also I need to see it. That's always been the thing that we've said, is that we need to see it until we have seen you kind of get over that mountaintop. We're going to have questions. Now, this would go a long way into answering those questions if you could sit there and figure out the actual mystery that is Nikola Jokic. That would be a feather in your cap, no doubt. But if FGA is going to get blitzed, the others are going to have to do something. Chet, J-Dub, Lou Dort, Cason Wallace, Aaron Wiggins, whoever you trust is going to have to be able to initiate offense and understand that you have the numbers advantage and find your open guy. And it just becomes that simple. If you can find the open guy, get him into the blender, and then now the ball moves faster than man. What are some of the adjustments for game 2? Very easy. More blitzes on Jokic. Let's pressure him. Let's see what happens. Let's see if Aaron Gordon can repeat the same workload that he did in game 1. Because you got to continue to test that. SGA needs some downhill touches late. He needs to be able to get into the paint. And they had 0 weak side relocators after the third quarter. They shot terrible from 3. Now, what do you think? What do you think, Thunder Up fam? What do you think, Mile High Basketball fam? What are your thoughts on game 2? Nuggets fans, Thunder fans, let us know in the comments. Also on Twitter at Frontrunner Podcast or at Frontrunner PC, and then also at Rhea_Funch FRPC. Hit us up on Blue Sky at frontrunnerpc.bsky.social, and then also it's at FRPC-ReaBSky.social. So we're there. Y'all hit us up. Let us know what's going on. And now, hey Boston, what's up? What is up? How y'all feel? Game 1 has happened. Did anything newsworthy happen in Boston yesterday? Oh, the Celtics were up by 20 and then blew the game. That's what happened. Let's get into it. The Celtics were in control of this game. Even though we had injuries on Kristaps Porzingis, we'll get into it a little bit later. We saw that Jalen Brown didn't have it as much as he usually does in this first game. Now, I don't expect that Jalen Brown will have these type of games the whole way through the playoffs whatsoever. That is not what I'm saying. But he did struggle in the first game. And let me tell you something, that was key. They get up by 20. Celtics, everything's going great. We're feeling good. And then OG Anunoby happens. Rewrote the script in the third quarter. This dude, he couldn't miss shots. He just kept also not allowing the wings of Boston or the guards of Boston to score a basket on the other end. We will get into Mikal Bridges and what kind of manly situation he had, but the OG Anunoby third quarter experience was a sight to see. Dream up your favorite roller coaster. Dream up your favorite video game, like I guess whatever, like speed round video game situation that you love, that you can go into and kind of play in this real short, quick situation. And that was what OG Anunoby was last night. He was everything that the Knicks needed, because he was like, hey, we're either about to get blown out or we're about to make this a game, and I'm going to do everything I can to make this a game. And he took it upon himself. So let's get into what went on. Boston was up 61-41 in the second quarter. So that's the backdrop that I want you to have. 61-41. The Celtics shot 6 of 29 from 3 in the second half. 6 of 29. That's 22%. There's that number again. Key number. So 6 of 29 from 3 in the second half, and also in OT. Knicks closed with a switchable big lineup of Hart, OG, Bridges, Cat, and Brunson, and it worked to a T. The shift in the third quarter is that Hart and OG and Mikal Bridges brought bombs, corner bombs, and Boston could not find any rhythm whatsoever. They couldn't hit a 2, they couldn't hit a 3, the step backs weren't working. It was all the things that Celtics fans do not like. Some step back threes by Jason Tatum, some like quick shots in the shot clock situation. I mean, there was just stuff that you just sat there and going like, do we not understand that it's the playoffs and we need to value the basketball? Like, do we not understand that the possession of the actual damn basketball is the most valuable commodity in this dumb game that we're playing? And it looked like Boston was just playing a regular season game. They looked like just regular dudes out there. Hey man, what's going on? Get some cardio in. Yeah, I'm just doing it. And then it all fell apart because OG Anunoby happened. Now, here's the best part. Tatum, who has played great all year. This has been the best Tatum season we've had. Let's be honest. 5 turnovers, no paint touches in the final 3 minutes. 6'10", 240 pounds, 5 turnovers, no paint touches, final 3 minutes. We never saw the small ball look with Tatum at the 5. Okay, so this is a Mazzulla deal. The Hauser, Cornet, Pritchard triumvirate, overextended bench didn't pay off. Joe Mazzulla's rotation screamed indecision. You needed a closer, and Boston had too many bystanders on the court. We needed some dudes who were about it. That's what we were looking for. And survey says, big ol' X. You know what I'm saying? Big ol' X. Family Feud style. You know how we do it. We talked about OG Anunoby and what happened, what he did. The thing that I do want to talk about is how he kind of just engulfed Jalen Brown and also Jason Tatum. They were not able to get into any of their real actions that they wanted to. I would have loved to have seen some inverted pick and rolls with the guards, with Drew Holiday or with Derek White. We didn't see a lot of that. It was a lot of one-on-one type nonsense. And again, if you're not going to get into the paint, how are you going to be able to kick it out to threes to threes that will be open? If you're just going to hang around the perimeter, it's going to be very easy to guard you. Brunson was Brunson in the end. Now, there were heroics by others, and we'll get to that in 1 second. But Brunson had 29 points, 6 assists. Deuce McBride led a 11-0 run in the third quarter with Hart, OG, and Cat. But the big part of this game is the Mikal Bridges experience in the fourth quarter and also in the overtime, and we'll get to that in 1 second. Because there is one other piece that we need to talk about. 13 minutes into the game, Kristaps Porzingis left and never came back. Now, there was some sort of undisclosed illness. We still haven't gotten word on what actually happened. We are efforting to get that information for you. And Boston front court unraveled after that, because if you take Kristaps Porzingis out of that lineup and you say, okay, Al Horford, Luke Kornet, and the boys, well, that's impressive in the regular season. But now you're going up against the best of the best, and Luke Kornet is not going to cut it. He's just not. It's not because he isn't a good player. He is a good player. But there's limitations to this. There's levels. And unfortunately, this might be a little bit outside his comfort zone, what we're about to go through now. There was no rim protection, no vertical spacing, no clear counter. Joe Mazzulla closed with a 38-year-old Al Horford, Luke Kornet manning the paint. A tough ask in an overtime playoff setting. Meanwhile, Jalen Brunson played through a lingering knee issue. You couldn't give them the usual burst on switches and closeouts. That left the Celtics scrambling on both ends, and Cat quietly punished them in the gaps with 15 points and 9 boards. It wasn't him completely. It was OG. It was Hart getting into the paint and then kicking it out to spraying it out for 3-point shooters. It was all of those type of things. But the big thing is not having Porzingis in there. Porzingis being sick was just a sidebar issue. But Boston's inability to cover for him when your best athlete is at 75% and you're closing with Kornet at the rim, you're asking to be hunted. You're just asking for ass whoopings, one-on-one ass whoopings all across the lineups at that point. The Knicks spacing mimicked the Raptors' 2019 off-ball cutting. The Celtics looked lost in some certain parts of this game. They just did not handle the pressure very well. Boston, who has been reluctant to use Tatum at the 5, might need to go ahead and break that out in key stretches in this series. Also, Jalen Brown, get off ball and start making cuts to the basket. If you can't do your one-on-one stuff and the stop-start because your knee is hurt too much, get off ball, make some cuts, get open shots, get easy shots, so then therefore now, you have made the defense think about other things while you're doing your deal. Boston is not in trouble. This series can go long, but the one thing that the Knicks have shown Boston is that they're vulnerable. That this is not the same Knicks team that they've been playing or what have you. This is a Knicks team that has matured. And this is also Jalen Brunson's way of saying, hey, if the game is close, I'm the best closer on the floor. And he likes those odds. And I don't know if the Celtics faithful, in times of deep reflection, I wonder how they feel about that. Just a thought.
Just a thought. All right, we're going to move along to the Cleveland Cavaliers and that game and what happened there. Now, there's some backstory. Darius Garland has a toe injury, and you say, well, Vince, it's a toe injury. What are we talking about right now? No. This ain't no just normal toe injury. This is turf toe. Turf toe is debilitating. You can't cut off of it, and it's in his big toe, by the way. And the only way to basically fix it is rest, and then you can go in for surgery. That's risky. But you can go in for surgery and fix it. Only thing is, obviously, you don't have that time right now, or the luxury to do that. So, that's our kind of backdrop to the Cleveland series. So let's get into it, shall we? Let's get into how this is going to go. Donovan Mitchell does Donovan Mitchell things, drops 33 points. Wow, this is great so far. What happened? What happened to them in this game? You can say a lot of things happened to them. The first thing is this. The middle third pick and roll, the secondary creation, the skip reads off weak side corners, gone, all gone, and it wasn't coming back. Cleveland had 25 assists, but 2 came in the fourth quarter. They shot collectively 23.7 from 3. Collectively, they shot below 25%. This is a team that shot 39% as a team from the 3-point line all year. They shot 23.7% from beyond the 3-point line in game 1. Nothing was created. Everything was forced. Strus and Merrill got 0 rhythm looks, and we saw the importance of Garland. We saw the importance of his priority to make a imprint on paint, purposeful paint touches. You know I talk about it all the time. If you make purposeful paint touches part of your offensive diet, what it's going to do is going to allow the defense to converge on the paint, leaving open your shooters, so now you can spray the ball out. And when you don't have that as an option in your offense and your offensive repertoire, you really are doing yourself a disservice. Now, could Donovan Mitchell do more of these things? 100% he could. And obviously that might be the adjustment for game 2. And we'll see. Now, how bad is the injury? We said it's turf toe. He's been out for a little while. Can it get better? Yes. The problem is that as soon as he plays again, he starts cutting on it, he starts moving on it, it's going to hurt. So, we'll see how much pain tolerance he has. We'll see when we get Darius Garland in this series, but we will see. Rick Carlisle didn't just prep for Cleveland without Garland. He hunted the gaps and that would open up because of it. Early shot clock isolation coverage on Mitchell. Off ball switching killed off weak side flares. The bench lineups from McConnell and Mathurin. Plus 12 in the second quarter run via chaos and tempo. Indy switches Strus and Merrill off curls. No advantage created. Ends in a late clock ISO that ended up in absolutely nothing. And this was in the second quarter. I want to say with like 2:47 to go in the second quarter. Carlisle coached like it was game 7, and JB Bickerstaff coached like it was game 1. Donovan Mitchell was all of what Donovan Mitchell could be. The 33 points on the 30 shots. That's we're gonna get to that in 1 second because that's very important. I have a key stat to that situation. 30 shots, 1 assist. This is Utah Jazz version of Donovan Mitchell. I thought we were done with this. I thought we were done with the hero ball. All we talked about all year is how much he trusted his teammates. I told you, and I'll continue to tell you, when you are stressed, when you are put in a stressful situation, your DNA shows up. Who you are shows up. And he was put in a stressful position, and we saw 30 shots and 1 assist. That's a problem that Kenny Atkinson must solve. By the way, shouts out to Kenny Atkinson for winning Coach of the Year. Wasn't my vote. But I think that Kenny Atkinson definitely deserved credit for the people who did vote for him. I mean, there was no like bad choice. So Kenny Atkinson went in with what he would put together and whatever. I have no problem with that. I chose Daigneault myself, but I don't have a problem with our guy winning this award. Cleveland's offense asked him to do everything. Merrill missed early and vanished late. Now here's the stat that I want to tell you. Donovan Mitchell is now 1-5 all time in playoff games where he takes 30 shots or more. He's also 2-12 when he takes 25 shots and has three or less assists. 2-12, 25 field goal attempts, 3 or less assists. It's not a critique, it's a pattern. High volume, high burden, low outcome. It's very great. It's a very good story that Donovan Mitchell was able to trust his teammates to bring them to this mid-60 win total throughout the regular season. Donovan Mitchell needs to continue to play that way, trust his teammates, because if he doesn't, and they start to get the inkling that he does not trust them, he will lose them, and then they will lose this. They could lose this series. Here's another interesting stat for you. The last 50 games of the year, the Cleveland Cavaliers were 35-15. The Indiana Pacers were 34-16. They're not that different. Yes, Cleveland got off to a great start, and whatever, it took Indiana a while to find its identity and things of that nature, and Tyrese Halliburton wasn't playing up to the level of what he was capable of. But in that second part of the season, that last 50 games, again, 35-15 for Cleveland, 34-16 for Indiana. Okay, so we have some other things that our guy, in Darius Garland's absence, Ty Jerome, 28 points, 8 assists, played well, but he was targetable defensively. They looked for him. They hunted that dude. They were like, oh my God, he's going to play 30 minutes. Let's go get him. Let's go get him. Okoro and Wade forced into creator adjacent roles. 4 combined assists, no spacing, obviously. Mobley couldn't trigger anything from the elbow because there was no one rotating into his vision. There was a lot of standing around and fuck around and find out. That was basically what happened. And they did. They found out. Indiana is up to the task. Indiana is not here just to be here. They're here to actually play. And again, everybody knows the history. And we scoffed at it. We said, hey, they got to the Eastern Conference Finals last year because teams got hurt. There were a couple breaks that went their way and all of this. Indiana does not care about our rhetoric. It does not care about our narrative, and they do not care about what we think about their chances of winning in this series. They are here to play the game. They are here to bust Cleveland's ass as much as possible. And Tyrese Halliburton is absolutely relishing this fact. Can they get Garland back? I don't know. We have no idea. Zero clue on whether they're gonna be able to get this dude back or not. If Ty Jerome is gonna have to start games, they are going to have to find ways to get the other guys involved, and we cannot have 30 shots from Donovan Mitchell. It's not a hero's quest to take. It really isn't. It's just terrible. Just all kinds of ball distribution issues that we need to fix in game 2. Indiana didn't just win, they showcased their playoff ready model. 19 made threes, 10 different players hit one. I say that again, 19 made threes, 10 different individuals hit threes. Okay? Team. Halliburton, 22 points, 13 assists, 1 turnover. 1 whole game. Surgical. Nesmith and Nembhard were absolutely fantastic on the defensive end and what they provided as far as connectors on the offensive end. I really enjoyed what I saw out of Aaron Nesmith and also Andrew Nembhard. Defensive control and elite shot selection from those guys. Indy runs a new age offense with old school buy-in. Every shooter moves. Every drive has a second read, and that nightmare is when you are down a playmaker. So you don't have Darius Garland. These dudes are coming off cuts. They're moving all over the place. They don't give two shits about what you're doing. We're playing with house money, and we are here to win and embarrass you. Cleveland better come to play game 2. They better come. Because if they don't, Tyrese Halliburton and Nembhard and Nesmith are the 3 type of guys that would say, you know what? Let's go ahead and really crank the, just tighten up the screws on them a little bit and win game 2 and see what happens. See if we can crack them. Now, Garland's going to play hurt, and let's assume he is. You can't game plan around him being actual what we consider of Darius Garland. Remember what he was like last year when he had the broken jaw and lost 20 pounds and whatever the case may be. Now, so what does that mean instead? Let Mobley do his damage. Use your advantages that you have. Mobley is a 7'1" connector who also can score in different various ways in various arrays of types of scoring. He can shoot the 3. He can get into that mid high post. He can get on the block. He can take you off the dribble, kind of a la Anthony Davis style. A lot more Evan Mobley, less Donovan Mitchell offensive creation. Oh, by the way, play Jerome and Mitchell, but stagger them. Don't play them side by side. I will say this. This is going to be the ultimate chess match, and here's the thing. JB Bickerstaff got fired from the Detroit Pistons. Obviously, it was not his fault. That team was mismanaged. It was a derelict of duty on so many levels. So we do not chastise JB Bickerstaff for the Detroit Pistons situation. What I will do is I will chastise Atkinson and his role in this situation. Because let's be honest about it. He was brought in to innovate this offense, right? The offense was stagnant. JB Bickerstaff has taken them as far as they could go. That's what they told us. And I'm not saying it's not true. But you can't tell me that one guy leaves your team for one game and your whole identity just floats out the window, and Donovan Mitchell's out here looking like Utah Jazz Donovan Mitchell circa 2020. What are we doing? Now, we need to get to Sunday. And you say, well, Vince, today is Tuesday. Why are we talking about Sunday? Well, something very important happened on Sunday. What happens when a young team full of talent finally runs into a system that they can't speed up? They can't speed past. What do? When your most explosive scorer can't read the defense, your best passer is suffocated at the elbow, and the other team's sixth man drops 33 points on 12 shots without dribbling. Damn, this sounds like 2017 Golden State, right? This sounds like 2017 Golden State right here. It's not, but it does sound like it. When you hear 33 points on 12 shots and you say with real minimal dribbles, who's the first person you think of? Well, damn, that sounds like Klay Thompson, doesn't it? No. It was Buddy Hield. Think about that. My buddy is now your buddy. He is also the Bay's buddy. It wasn't just a loss for the Houston Rockets. It was a reveal. It was a reveal what that team was and what now in the future what it's going to look like. Well, let me explain. On Sunday night, the Rockets walked into their own emotional playoff pilot. And the Golden State Warriors showed up like they were a syndicated veteran. You know what I'm saying? Tighter script, better timing, zero identity confusion. They just, hey, what's up? We the Golden State Warriors, we do things. And then Buddy Hield showed up and went nuclear. Curry connected the dots. They did everything they could to not allow Curry to beat them. Amen Thompson was absolutely fantastic until he got hurt. And that's when Steph Curry got loose. It was only when Amen Thompson got the calf injury when Steph finally started to get he got a sliver more of room. And that's all it took in the fourth quarter of that game. But before that, it was the Buddy Hield show. And we will not fake the funk on a nasty dunk on Buddy Hield. Because we need to give him his flowers. This guy's played in the league a long time. He has never had a really good playoff performance. So if my man is going to score 33 points on 12 shots, we are going to celebrate that. And also, Jimmy Butler was Jimmy Butler. He showed he might be the third man. No, he's not. Because there was Buddy Hield comment. He called Jimmy Butler after the game Alfred. Because Jimmy has been talking about Steph Curry being his Batman. And he's the Robin. Buddy screams across the locker room, says, oh, so you're Alfred and I'm Robin, and then Steph is still Batman, right? So good exchange there. Love that. Thought that was pretty cool, especially in the moment of playoffs. But this episode takes a turn. It's not about the Warriors. Oh no, it's about the team in Houston. That looks more like Heels season 1 than any Western Conference playoff threat. Talented cast, good potential, but no clear lead, no direction, and no one calling the match. We break down how the Warriors spaced Houston out of their own structure, why Ime Udoka's lineups collapsed when it mattered, and what the Rockets front office needs to ask before this show ends in dramatic fashion. So let's get to it. This was not the Warriors of the past. This wasn't the beautiful game. This wasn't 300 pass possessions. This wasn't a Curry 40 piece. This was a team. This was a team saying, hey, we are better than our collective parts. And we're going to get key performances from key individuals, and we're going to have some surprise performances from individuals because we need every last individual to help us win this game. Golden State opened this game with a 5-out offense that bent Houston's coverage before the shot clock even hit 15. Draymond was the hub, not scoring threat, but movement orchestrator. You had Hill flying off pin downs, Butler playing off the gas, and Steph, basically, he was just basically being escorted individually by Amen Thompson all across the court. So wherever Steph went, 94 feet, Amen Thompson went. Okay, so I want you to get that visual. Steph is in the game. Steph is on the bench. Amen Thompson wanted to sit on Golden State bench. That's how close he wanted to be to Steph. I think he even tried to bribe the hotel that Golden State was staying at to see if he can get a room key to go and see if he could tuck Steph in tonight. He wanted to guard Steph as much as possible, and he did. If Steph is not going to have a 40-point game, what do you need? How do you win? If Steph is not being the Steph that we know, he's not being that guy that's the absolute babyface assassin that we are in love with. Well, you go back to what brought you to the dance, right? And I'm going to say something to the Golden State Warriors fans. Dub Nation, did we get strength in numbers last night? You bet your ass we did on Sunday night. We sure did. 18 made threes, 41.9% shooting, only 7 turnovers. When have we known a Golden State team to turn the ball over only 7 times? That's the first question. They out-assisted Houston 24-14. Hill hit 4 threes off pin downs, 3 catch and shoot above the break threes, the fast break points, just 2 for them. Just 2. They wanted to slow it down. Golden State didn't beat Houston with tempo. They bludgeoned them. They bludgeoned them with space. They bludgeoned them with rotation. They bludgeoned them with shot profile trust. They just bludgeoned them. Draymond ran the show, also fouled a bunch of people. Şengün, we will talk about that shot at the end. But Şengün, by the way, Houston, we will talk about what you should do. It might not be in this podcast because I don't want to go too long, but we will talk about what you should do probably on Friday. Jimmy Butler's coming to the Golden State Warriors has been a absolute revelation. So whatever you think of Jimmy Butler and his past and what he's done, all are valid. But we cannot take away from what the man is on the court. And he's just a calming figure on the court. Don't let the quiet box score fool you. He wasn't just filling up space. He was creating tempo without the ball. It was drives, it was kicks, it was swings, and finish. He had 7 assists. He had 1 turnover. 3 of those dimes came after Houston bit on help rotations and left the weak side open, just to go ahead and have a skip pass thrown by Jimmy Butler to an open shooter, waiting, locked in, ready to cock it and shoot. The other thing that we need to get to is this. Houston's defensive map was redrawn. They tried to take away Steph, and it was working until the guy who was assigned this daunting task pulled up lame with a calf injury. It's like, dude, this guy's been going miles with Steph the whole series, and now he comes up with a calf injury. That sucked for him. Steph loved it though. He got open, and he got some nice shots in the fourth quarter, which Golden State needed all of those. The thing about Houston is this: is that they don't have a go-to guy. Jalen Green, as talented as he is not effective enough as a on-ball creator, as somebody who can create offense for himself, and we just need a bucket. Can you get us a bucket? The answer is no. And I have a friend in my life who swore up and down that Jalen Green was going to be this guy. And unfortunately, I had never seen it. He was like, you just don't see the vision. You know, he was maligned because, you know, he had Silas here, and, you know, Silas wasn't really teaching them how to do anything, and blah, 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 and all these things, right? So enter Ime Udoka. And what you first start seeing Ime do is start pulling Jalen Green. Start pulling him. Like, nope, you're not valuing the basketball. You're not adhering to the defensive principles that we have put forth. You're going to sit on the bench. That was last year. Now, we fast forward to the end of last year, right? Şengün gets hurt. Jalen Green goes on this magical run of multiple 30-plus game scores, multiple like 6-7 assist games, highlight dunks, all of it, right? We're saying, here it is. And my friend who loves Jalen Green, loves him, he was like, this is it. This is what we have been waiting for. And I said, threw a complete wet blanket on it. Didn't, you know, and I know he probably thought that I was doing that on purpose. I wasn't. I did bring up the point that it was March and it was early April, and we know what kind of happens in March and early April. And if you're not familiar with the NBA, what happens is that teams that are going into the playoffs, they might take their foot off the gas pedal a little bit, right? So they're going to throttle down. The teams that are not going to make the playoffs, well, they're also throttling down as well, because they're trying to get the best pick they can possibly get in the lottery. So there was a lot of games where you kind of scratch your head and say, well, that was a good game by Jalen Green. That was a very good game by him. Are we sure it's going to translate to the point where it's going to matter? That was always the question. And we got our answer in this series. Because the playoff, like we've always said, is the biggest truth teller. It tells you exactly who you are. It tells you what you need to work on. Jalen Green was ineffective. There were a lot of drives that weren't purposeful at all. There were drives where he wasn't really looking to score. He was looking to get fouled. And those foul calls never came. My guy, you are not James Harden. You are not Steph Curry. You are not Trae Young. You are not Jimmy Butler. So you're not going to get those calls. You need to go to the basket with the intention to score, sir. And if you're not going to do that, that's why your ass is at home now. That's why you are now vacationing. Because you didn't go to score. You went to get fouled. Now, coaching decisions. We're building around Amen Thompson and Şengün. Okay? That's I don't know about the coaching decision, but the front office decision is very clear. We build around Amen Thompson, and we build around Şengün, and we go out and give us a reliable 25 point per game bucket getter, efficient, whatever you want to call it. We go out and get one of those. We got a plethora of young dudes, and we got a plethora of picks. Let's go get it. Now, okay. Last thing I'll say about this, and then we can close this one out, is that if you're sitting there and you're a Houston Rockets fan and you are of the opinion that you were robbed in this series, first of all, you are ahead of schedule, sir. You're not supposed to, well, you're supposed to be here in the playoffs. You aren't supposed to be a 2 seed. Okay? So that's foul money right there. Secondly, you had no playoff real experience going into this situation. Yes, Fred VanVleet had played in playoff situations. A couple other people that you had on the team did. But other than that, the team, the guys that you're trying to develop into the rotation of the future for the Rockets, that's going to be that next iteration of a championship team, the championship core. Well, this was their first foray into the playoffs. Pretty good, outing for them, but this was their first foray. The same thing that we talk about OKC is the same thing we're going to talk about Houston. Houston should not be disappointed in how they played in this series or whatever the case may be. They were outmanned, they were outgunned in the sense of we don't have a go-to scorer. Now you keep Şengün, you keep Amin Thompson, and you look for trades for other people as far as that's concerned. Now, I don't know where you go from there, we'll see. But at the end of the day, Houston got incredible playoff experience. They played against a really good team. They needed to play against a team like this, and they got all of what they needed. Now you go to the drawing board and you see what Rafael Stone and the Fertittas are willing to do for the next iteration of what the Houston Rockets are going to look for. Here's the one thing I will say to my Houston Rockets #liftoff brethren out there. You're going to hear a lot of podcasts tell you about Kevin Durant. You're going to hear a lot of podcasts tell you about how getting somebody like Kevin Durant, who is instant offense, he's an offensive ecosystem onto himself, how this will be very beneficial to you as an organization. I want you as a fan base to not get married to this idea. Not because of the fact that it could not happen. I'm not saying that. It could happen. I want you to not get yourself so married to this idea because I don't think this is the best idea for you. That's the reason why. And it's not because I'm sour on KD. We know how much I love KD. I don't think he's the necessary piece that you're looking for. Yes, he is the scorer that you're looking for. And yes, you have enough defensive talent around him, per se, until we see what's in that trade. But I think there's a better way to go ahead, and you have a bunch of assets, and you have a way to asset allocate yourself into a very formidable bucket getter. So don't be enamored with the shiny bauble. Don't do it. Trust me. Look at what Phoenix has gone through. Look at what Brooklyn's gone through. Tell me you want to sign up for that. Okay? Now, with that being said, what's on the docket for this week? Well, glad you asked. We got a lot of draft stuff that we need to get to on Friday, because Feel Good Friday is coming. Presented by Vince and the fine folks of Frontrunner Podcast Collective. We will do big draft stuff coming Friday. Mark my words. We will also talk about the teams that are now not in the playoffs. We will talk about the teams that are been sitting at home for a while. They weren't in the playoffs to begin with. And we'll start breaking down what they need, how they need it, how they gonna get it. Do they have the assets for it? Do they have the cap space for it? Is there a trade to be made? Was there something at the trade deadline that we heard about that might now manifest itself in the summertime? I have no earthly clue. But you know what, when we will know, it's Friday. Because we're going to feel real good. And we're going to bring you nothing but heat. So, with that being said, I would like to thank my incredible producer, Soraya, who has held it down through this season of change and this season of rediscovery in what we do. And the other thing that I want to do is take this time to let our audience know two things. One, we work so hard to bring you this. And I know a lot of people will tell you that, right? There are a lot of people who do the podcasting thing. They love it, whatever the case may be. And I'm not saying they're worse than we are or whatever. They're not. Why do I think our podcast is for you? Two reasons. One, we're going to try to have some fun. Bring our own personality out and give it to you. Hopefully we can give you some real breakdown analysis that you can then talk to your friends about. And then hopefully we can give you something that is kind of just easily digestible. And what I mean by that is not that we're dumbing it down for you, is that we are able to maybe give you some sort of analogy or some sort of like key clue that you can then just kind of lock that into yourself and go, I know exactly what the hell this guy's talking about right now. And he's making a lot of sense to me. We do this because we love it. We do this because it was preordained for us to do. We do this because of the fact that 2 times a week, there's nobody on this planet giving you entertainment, information, and then also the real. Nah. They want to kind of slow play it. Oh, yeah. Laker fans, let me ask you a question. You're going to hear a lot of names out there in the next couple days. My God, you're going to hear Miles Turner, right? I think I even heard Rudy Gobert. I heard other names too. Are any of those realistic? Only are we going to give you something? Yeah, we could sell you a bill of goods and try to get the ratings and try to get the stats up and all those sort of things. We could do that. No, we're not going to do that. No. The reason why we're not going to do that is because we care about you, the audience. We do not want to insult your intelligence in any way. And also, the thing that we hope that we can bring to you is that we can provide a situation where we can almost enter into a relationship where we exchange ideas, you listen to ours, you give us feedback and say, hey, that was a good idea, or hey, that was a good observation, or that was a complete load of crap and this is the reason why. We want to be challenged. And we want to be the best we can possibly be. The only way we can do that is with you. So, with that being said, surround yourself with people who lift you up, push you forward, and remind you who you are. And if you got folks like that in your life, celebrate them. Text them, hug them. Let them know that they absolutely matter to you. Because growth hits different when you're surrounded by love, support, and real ones. And hey, if you building a squad like that, you start with Frontrunner Podcast Collective. You start with us because we always got a seat waiting here for you, always. And with that being said, we will see you on Friday. Deuce.